It's time for another edition of Prose with Vikki, Locke, and Cyndee Woolley from C2 Communications.
Welcome back. Hi, everybody. Just a couple of PR chicks talking with some of our favorite authors about the books that we love, all while sipping our beverage of choice. Hi, I'm Vikki Locke, and in today's episode, I am drinking a lovely Chardonnay called Cyndee. It's one of my favorites. It's delish.
And I'm Cyndee Woolley, and I'm drinking 19 Crimes, which was inspired by Mary Kay Andrews' book, The Newcomer. After our conversation, I just loved her so much last week. I was like, okay, download and listen to this new book, and it is fantastic. I'm halfway through, and the characters are so sweet, charming, and flawed, much like myself.
I'm just so glad you're reading fiction finally.
I have to have my escapes, and this is definitely a good one. And being from Florida, having these mysteries on the Florida beaches, it's really really nice. So it's about to unravel, though. So the plot's thickened, and now we get to peel back the layers.
Well, don't tell me because I haven't started mine yet, but equally as fascinating and fabulous is our guest for today's show of Prose. I am so excited to introduce to you an author. She's an award-winning journalist, a television host, a registered dietitian. She is a world traveler. She is going to give us some much needed tips today on how to shake off all that pandemic weight. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Prose, my good friend, Carolyn O'Neil. Hey.
Hello. Oh my gosh, it is so great to be with you two. And I, of course, watched the Mary Kay Andrews interview last week. And as a TV professional, I want to point out something. You two have two different backgrounds this week. You're moving around.
We got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
She's a detective.
She was so fun.
Paying attention.
What are you drinking?
Oh my gosh. Well, I thought of everything. First of all, I told you about my allergy, right, Vikki?
Yes.
During the pandemic, I discovered, Cyndee, that I'm allergic to an empty wine glass. So, and then last week you were Whispering Angel. Now, being a home economics major, of which I went to Florida State and I was in the home ec school, I'm all about saving money. They don't call it home ec anymore, but I still do. I decided to introduce you, Vikki, to the lesser expensive Whispering Angel, the Palm. Are you familiar with this, Vikki?
Yes.
It's less expensive, and I think matches your Naples decor a little bit better than the other one. And
I think you're right.
It really does.
So anyway, that's what I'm going to have a little rosé, and I wore rosé for the Prose.
You're so coordinated, and I just love it.
I always like to dress to match the news stories that I was doing at CNN. We kind of, not that I wore hoop skirts or anything when I was covering a story on something in Mississippi, but when you're out in the West and you're covering a story on Western cuisine, you got to have a little fringe. You got to have the denim, right? You got to dress the part. One time I did a story at Horizon Dairy. It was when organic milk was first being introduced, and I went to someplace in South Dakota to visit the Horizon Dairy where they were raising these cows, but the way they do is they call it organic. Of course, I had to wear a plaid shirt. I was on a farm, So I've always been about matching my news story.
That's fantastic. So, Carolyn, I just love this idea of healthy foods and Southern foods from your cookbook, because I grew up in the South, and it was very, very much the way Paula Deen describes life, with everything's better with a stick of butter and a cup of mayonnaise and such. So I'm really fascinated to see how you have made that healthier.
Well, it was easy. We just used less butter and less mayonnaise. We didn't take it out. Okay. But Slim Down South, which is the book, this was actually the first ever, Southern Living. Of course, we know Southern Living magazine. They have done a slew of cookbooks. But this was their first ever healthy Southern cookbook. Or as my friends up north would say, isn't that an oxymoron? You know, like Cyndee, like you were kind of, yeah, how can you have that? And of course, on the back, Southern and healthy, you bet your biscuits. So, you know, we just took those ingredients. And actually, you know, seriously, when you think about the real true foods of the South, this is where the farms are, right? This is, look at all the coastline, the fish. Look at all of the beautiful vegetables and fruits and flavors and freshness because we live so close to the farms. So why in the heck can't we do something that's pretty much kind of like the Mediterranean diet? Now we know in the Mediterranean diet it's all about more like olive oil rather than lard or something like that. Although they use pork fat in the north in Mediterranean. So anyway, we just tried to emphasize the really great healthy things in the South and show people how to minimize, your garnish. What's a good way to describe this? It's kind of like you have a little black dress, right? And you have too many accessories. So you've got that great piece of chicken, maybe you don't need the cheese and the bacon and the butter and you know what I mean? You can take off one of those accessories and let the chicken star or let the corn star or let the shrimp star. And so yeah, taste first and then we just use Southern ingredients and made it in sort of a Mediterranean, if you will, kind of way.
But you brought something up. You said olive oil, and believe it or not, Cyndee cannot eat olive oil.
I want to hear more about this. As the official registered dietitian today of PRose, can you tell me a little bit about that, Cyndee? Because I want to do some diet detective work here. When you say allergic, are you talking about a IgE reaction where you get anaphylactic shock? Do you break out?
No.
Okay, so tell me what allergic means, or is it intolerance, or who told you, and how did you find it?
So about 9 years ago, I got drastically sick, and to the point I lost like 30 pounds in a month. And I started doing some, I was seeing a traditional doctor, but then I was seeing an acupuncturist who was testing me on a NACE profile. And she tested me for these food allergies, and she goes, Cyndee, you can't have soy. And I said, are you crazy? I eat soy all the time. I love soy. I've had soy all my life.
Well, soy is one of the top 8, now guess what, top 9 allergens that are recognized by the FDA and everybody else. And the new one is sesame. But go on, soy is definitely one of the allergens for a number of people.
Oh, absolutely. And so these are, when I say allergens, that's what people relate to that you can't eat, but it's really a food intolerance because what happens is I get migraines and I get sick and I just don't feel good. So like the bottom line was it just taught me to figure out and listen to my body, right? So I cut back on gluten, soy, dairy, and corn were my terrible ones 9 years ago. And I've just had a lot of allergies lately. So I took another test, and I've triggered allergic to olive oil now. And I have to laugh because I eat olive oil every day. And it's probably just that my body's saying take a break from it,
It's very interesting when you say test. And this is, again, as your diet detective here and a registered dietitian, trained in this area, and certainly with colleagues that are super duper experts on food allergies and intolerances. It's a funny thing. I was talking to Sherry Collins. She lives here in Atlanta, big expert on food allergies. And she said a lot of these tests, I mean, the tests are not foolproof. Now, there's the skin test, there's this. And what they're finding is that people will show that they have an insensitivity or a sensitivity to something that they happen to have like eaten a lot of. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's just picking up, oh, olive oil, like I would probably be picking up because I have olive oil every day. So I guess my inspiring, keep our minds open message is these tests are a tool. It's not a black and white thing. Certainly how you feel.
Absolutely. And when I talk food allergies with people, they're like, "Oh my God, what can you eat? You would like some air with that? Are you allergic to oxygen too?" And and to me, it was a reminder that number one, you need to listen to your body, But number
No, I
two,
don't believe into the like I had a craving or listen to your body. I'm more of a scientist in that regard. If I was listening to my body, I would have 9 more of these. Okay. But you know what I'm saying? I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. I just mean I want to see some actual results. One of my, a lot of people, when they have a food intolerance, will have gastrointestinal upset. You know what I mean? And especially as we get older, we do digest things a little bit differently, because the enzymes change and maybe our microbiome changes and that kind of a thing. So there's a really, really cool website called Digestive Peace of Mind. And Kiki Scarlata, who's a registered dietitian, and she's in the New England area, super duper expert. So what she helps people with is figuring out, like, okay, let's take out these things and then let's start adding back. That the challenge, you add it back. And I like that, but it's guided by her, So, and there's a certain thing. Have you heard of FODMAP? FODMAP. A lot of people with digestive, they have to cut out fructose. I'm not even going to get this right. Oligosaccharides, disaccharides. These are certain kinds of carbohydrates that you may find in things that are actually on the list when you would think of healthy stuff. I mean, people can't digest onions or garlic, or they can't, maybe their problem is the cruciferous vegetables, which we know kale and broccoli, cauliflower are so healthy, but they can't handle it. So again, it's that, let's make a list, let's take away things, let's add them back. So it really is a Netflix mystery in the making. Now this could be a reality show.
And I was coming back to the second thing I really learned out of this is variety. Like, variety is the spice of life. This is to keep your body healthy. You need to not be in that routine of, I'm making pasta every Thursday night and I'm eating lasagna every Friday night and mashed potatoes and chicken every Saturday night. You need to get out and explore a little bit. And I was actually noticing in the recipes that you shared with me, there was a fennel orange salad that is so good. And I love sliced fennel and making a salad out of that. And I just think that is one of the most underused vegetables, and just something that's out there that is so healthy for you, and people don't know it. So I don't know. I thought maybe you had some more underutilized, but like, man, this is a vegetable you really need to figure out how to cook in your life, and you need to get more artichokes in your life. Or what would you recommend to people who need to get out of their comfort zone?
That's absolutely right. I mean, we get in a rut because we do like things. We get in a rut because maybe we haven't been introduced to a new way to try something. And I think that's why cookbooks are so terrific, because, or even being online and you put in, let's say in your refrigerator, you've got maybe some fresh artichokes. The normal go-to would be what? Steam them up and then dip them into, yummy butter and lemon.
Butter.
Yeah, baby. Well, so that was one of my, and that was actually one of my, like, I've got to share this with people kind of a things. In my first book, The Dish, which matches my outfit, and Prose, The Dish, I'm eating healthy and being fabulous, because I wanted people to have fun, but of course eat healthy. This book was reviewed as it's Sex and the City meets food and nutrition, which I thought was a lovely review. But anyway, so back to the discovery. Lydia Bastianich, which you may know from PBS, Cooking with Lydia and all the Italian foods. So when I was CNN, some people were covering, and Vikki knows this, some people were covering Washington or Wall Street. I got to go and cover heartbreaking news like the cooking school vacations of Italy.
It's a tough life.
By the way, more people watch that. And anyway, so back to your artichokes. Here's my idea to share with all of our visitors today. Rethink your artichoke. And this is, you get a whole bunch of them, and what Lydia did, and I will never forget, and the recipe is in the dish, but you could just follow along. It's about just doing this and not worry about measuring stuff anymore. You put it in a giant baking dish, something deep enough, for the artichoke. You cut off the bottom of the artichoke so they're all standing. You pour in chicken stock, or if you're a vegetarian or vegan, you put in your vegetable stock. Then dried mint, white wine, salt and pepper. and then some little pepperoncini peppers, or maybe you got the red pepper flakes, fine with me. You put it in the oven, not on the stove. You put it in the oven and you braise them. Oh, and there's olive oil. Sorry, there's olive oil in there too. Whatever. You can use any kind of vegetable oil you want. But anyway, they would just happen to be in there because, we're in Italy. There we go. So in the oven, you braise them. 325, not super hot, not obviously too low. And let them just until, when are they done, Carolyn? I don't know. When you can reach in there and take one of those little spears out, guess what happens? Rather than having that artichoke that is cooked in water, which tastes like an artichoke and it's delicious, but you got to dip it in the butter and the lemon to, give really, or what is that sauce? Sometimes they have a hollandaise.
A béarnaise or a hollandaise?
Some kind of sauce. You don't need it because this gorgeous broth. And so what she would do, she got a bowl, she put the one artichoke in there, and you ladle some of that yummy water, if you will, broth that it's cooked in, il brodo, and then you got your bread to dip in there, and then you're having your artichoke, and it's so flavorful because all those flavors cook into the artichoke. Headline news: this is a way to upgrade your vegetable life. And that, I think, is what people need help with, because we're not really eating enough, fruits and vegetables and all quote unquote healthy stuff. But it's because people haven't, when we started roasting the Brussels sprouts, Brussels sprouts have sales have gone through the roof. Or all of a sudden, what is the last 2 years? Everything with cauliflower. You get your cauliflower rice, you get your cauliflower pizza crust. But actually, okay. Unless you're just eating it as cauliflower, you're making it a pizza crust. Oh, it's got lower carbs. Okay, what do you I think it's a waste of time, to be honest. But I'd rather eat cauliflower with cheese.
Well, let's get to what everybody has been asking me about since we promoted the fact that you were going to be on the show today. Ways that you can eat a lot and lose weight because on average, as you stated in your blog, what is it, over 60% of us have pretty much gained weight during the pandemic.
Yes. Okay. And then remember the lesson about the artichoke, because we'll come all the way full circle.
Oh, I'm sorry. You weren't done with your recipe. I'm so sorry.
No, you didn't. What I'm saying is this thread is so perfect, Vikki. The thread is perfect because that is what you learn to do, is to have these great joys. All right. So during the pandemic, remember when it all started, we started doing Zoom happy hours, right? With family and friends. And funny enough, tonight at 7:00 is when I'm getting together with my pandemic pals as sort of a closure, we're calling it, because we've been together this whole time. And, at first it was like, hey, what are you doing out there? Well, I'm here in Atlanta, one's out in, California, somebody's in Boston, somebody's in Chicago, this is my group. Venice, Florida, near you, and then in Indianapolis. And we would just talk about our lives and our families and what's going on and drink. And I was okay. It was funny for a while. I gained weight during the pandemic for a few reasons that maybe can relate to other people who have the same experience. I drank more. I ate more because, binge watching a lot of series, okay? I've binge watched so many series, I don't even remember the ones I love so much. I forgot about them already. I drank too much, I ate more, and I cared less. Because you know what? I wasn't getting dressed up and going out. I wasn't doing anything. I ate more, I drank more, and I cared less. So finally, I think I saw a photograph of myself, and I was just like, oh, this isn't good. Then something else happened. I decided during the pandemic to use it wisely, and I needed a hip replacement. So I scheduled that for August, so last August. And getting ready for that, I didn't stop drinking or anything, but I think you had to stop drinking, 24 hours in advance or something? I don't know. So, but then when I went after surgery, I was on these medications, so I couldn't drink alcohol. Then I was afraid of falling down because the doctor had the fear of God in me for falling down and my hip thing coming out of its whatever. But I didn't want to just drink water. Now, God loves a little LaCroix water. I was thirsty before our interview, but here's what I did. And this is my first lesson for everybody. If you're used to drinking and having that glass of wine or a cocktail at 5:00 or whatever time, pandemic wise, it's 5:00 somewhere, you have to create a new ritual. So I created a new ritual, and here's what I did because I came with visual aids. I picked out a really cool sort of highball glass. And this one says make mine a double, which I never did. Okay. And then I put ice. All right. I hope we're not running out of time because this drink does not take that long to make. So my 5 o'clock ritual was this. It's not alcoholic, but I upgraded. So let's say you're used to having a gin and tonic or a vodka and tonic. I upgraded my mixers. So I went ahead and got the Fever Tree. And then a friend of mine goes, hey, there's Refreshingly Light, and that has only 30 calories. My other friend's like, well, LaCroix has no calories. I'm like, shut up. I want the tonic, okay? 30 calories, okay? So this was also part of my ritual, was this little opener that I bought at the airport in Cancun. Who doesn't love a little last-minute purchase? Back when we used to travel, it came with this. So glad they took me through the pandemic. All right, so we're going to add the tonic to the pretty glass. I recommend a pretty glass. And the reason I have my little stirrer here is then I would just load up the limes. I cut them like they do in a Mexican restaurant, with no. And then I do the limes, and then I just stir it around. Sometimes get a little crazy, add a little pomegranate juice.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I cut the tonic water, again, upgrading. Not feeling bad about spending more in the water aisle because I wasn't drinking wine. I wasn't having, a bottle of Tito's every couple of weeks, small bottle. And I just loved, and then added a straw. This pause, this ritual, this deliciousness of the tonic with the lime, I swear to God, you do not miss the alcohol. It doesn't mean I didn't drink for a while, but now I do again. But I feel like, remember how creating new habits, we'd make a cocktail, we'd put the ice in, right? Then you put the booze in. Then there was maybe some room for the mixer, probably not too much room. Just switch it. Put in your mixer first, then add your gin or your vodka just to kind of flavor it with that. And you're cutting calories. And that's really, really made a big difference. My skin was better because I was more hydrated. So that's my number one tip, because 22% of the calories that we're taking in are liquid calories. Look at what you're drinking first before you even look at what's on your plate. Sweet tea, forget it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow, that is good. That is good.
What?
Any questions?
So what do you eat with that?
I make mocktails all the time. I love them. The pomegranate juice and the tonic water is my favorite.
Oh, and again, going the extra mile for the good, upgrading your thingy, your mixer, or just add, it does make it adds up, and I want you to have fun with these mocktails and cocktails. I wrote something too, and I think it's on my blog, The Happy Healthy Kitchen, on low alcohol beverages. And I took a class with the Distilled Spirits Council just to kind of learn about them. And these like bitters and vermouth and things like that. The reason you can create a low alcohol beverage is because they're super high in alcohol, but you only use this much for this great flavor, these delicious. And there's different kinds of vermouths too that we had in our class. So,
Do you have a farmer's market that you go to? I'll tell you that one of my tips, or one of my favorite finds over the spring, has been picking up a fresh thing of mint and flavoring my water with the fresh mint, or mixing it up and making tea that's with mint and rosemary. And it just tastes, a little more elegant, a little more,
and studies show that if our water, even if it's just plain water, has a little bit of flavor in it, I don't care if you put a little bit of grapefruit juice in or a little bit of orange juice, studies show that we will drink more of it. Therefore, it's not more hydrating because there's some magic when you add a thing of mint or a cucumber wheel or something. It's because when it has a little flavor, you don't get flavor fatigue just from plain old water. That's a study that was done, University of Indiana, I think. I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Paid for
So
by
you've got these great mocktails, which sounds great, sounds delicious, but then you're snacking. So how do you cut down on the snacking?
I happen to have a visual aid. All right. Now I'm going to get really serious. We are not 8-year-old kids playing soccer. Did you know that? Yeah. You probably need snacks. Okay. People, this American obsession with snacking, whatever the hell that is. I'm like, whatever happened to breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Okay. If you just have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you don't need a snack. Okay. Unless it's 11 o'clock at night, gonna watch another episode or something. But I just think that snacking, people say, oh, have a handful of nuts, or, have a half a banana, or have a half of a turkey steak. Why are you hungry? Maybe you're not hungry. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you're thirsty. So I always say, if you feel like you want to reach for something to eat, oh, I'm hungry, I feel like I need something, pour yourself sort of a low calorie drink first. Drink that, and then think, you know what? I guess I really wasn't hungry. I was thirsty. You got to test yourself. But back to watching TV, and I did a lot of that, as we all did. I did something that I knew I was always supposed to do, was I put my potato chips in a bowl. Now this looks like a big bowl. It's not really that big. It gets smaller and smaller the more I take it away from the camera. Okay. But I would just fill up a little bowl, and this is actually let's do compared to, see, it's not that big. There's the wine glass. It's not that big. And I filled it with my potato chips, and enjoy that. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Enjoy these, and they're like the Cape Cod, the really good potato chips. I felt like I needed something salty. I felt like I needed something crunchy. Everybody has a different splurge. You might want something sweet. Sometimes, like, you know what? I need a cookie. I'm watching this show. I need a cookie. It would be, like way after dinner kind of thing. And I said, okay, you can have it. You can have that. And so I'm telling you, part of my pandemic weight loss plan was having that small bowl of potato chips because I wanted something salty, or a couple of cookies if I wanted something sweet, just to have it and enjoy it. And yeah.
Now, how did exercise play into that? Because with a hip replacement, you must have been on heavy restrictions. I mean, does your diet plan really focus in on food based, or do you integrate some exercise and a little more movement?
Well, again, a lot of us were not as moving as much as we normally were, just because we were at home and you weren't getting out of your car to go to the office or the studio or whatever. You weren't driving here and going there and running here and going through the mall. Blah, blah, blah. You were shopping online. You were doing, so we were just moving less. So I started to move more. Number one, I wasn't in pain anymore because personal thing, I had the hip surgery, right? The hip replacement.
Right.
So that was huge. But it wasn't like, I did try, Vikki, to walk around Chastain Park, which is really hilly and it's about 3 miles. It hurt my doctor told me, no, that's too far for you right now. So then I found the way I got the most activity was activities of daily living, increasing that. Like, think, oh, something's upstairs. Okay, I live in a 2-story house. Rather than going, I'll get it later. No, I'll get it now. Okay. And just moving more made a big difference. Food wise, I'll be totally honest, I didn't think, because I wasn't burning as many calories during the pandemic as I would have in a normal life, running through airports or whatever, dragging all my bags of groceries into a TV studio back and forth on my car, just going to do virtual TV in my own home kitchen. So that wasn't much of a workout. I decided to cut back. I had coffee in the morning with 2% milk or something like that, maybe 2 cups of coffee, no breakfast. Ate no breakfast. I turned into a European. And then I didn't really eat much of a lunch. And if I ate lunch and went out to lunch with friends, I wouldn't eat much of a dinner. So I realized, and I didn't miss it at all because I was hydrating more. I was drinking more, just iced tea and the sparkling waters. And I just wasn't. And when I had been gaining weight, I think I was cooking up the pasta. Oh, yeah, it was funny. I had videos of like, just got a pasta machine. I'm making, I still eat pasta. but it was like I had no limits. And then I put some limits on myself.
Mm.
But I didn't suffer at all because you know what? At dinner, eat whatever the hell I wanted. You want fried chicken from Publix? I'm getting fried chicken from Publix, okay? 'Cause I didn't have breakfast. I didn't have much of a lunch, and I'm not gonna have a snack. You know, I would have fried chicken if I wanted it.
So you've got this cute little figure now. Where are you traveling to next? Where are you going to next?
Well, I haven't really been very many places except I visited my daughter in Wyoming. I did go down to 30A, you know, Florida, the Panhandle, and that was so fun. I do have plans, and it seems like a fairy tale at the moment, but I'm supposedly going to Italy on July the 17th to Venice. And
Oh,
Nice.
it's a Uniworld river cruise. And Vikki knows my dear friend, and her dear friend Jenna Chrisman is going as well. With
Who, by the way, has a degree in champagne.
oh my gosh,
For
she's
real.
a master's in champagne. Masters. I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that too.
cheers.
I was so inspired by Mary Kay Andrews that I'm going to share something else with you that I secretly do want to write a book, you know, and then I thought, why waste time with a book? Let's just go straight to the screenplay, you know? Vikki, Cyndee, let's just go straight to the screenplay.
Absolutely.
And so when I was driving home from Mom lives in rural South Carolina, I was kind of channeling my inner, like, Mary Kay Andrews. You know, she has cool names for things, right? It's all about the names and everything. I drove by this place, and it was called the Shade Tree Bait Shop.
Ooh.
I've got to write that down before Mary Kay does. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing with it, but I'm inspired.
Well, you inspire us, and we are so happy you could take some time to be with us today and tell everybody how they can get more information about your blog, about your books, about yourself.
Well, I would just go to CarolynO'Neil.com, or you can go to thehappyhealthykitchen.com. It's all in one place. And I do blog. I do have some information on there, the pandemic weight plan. I have lots of other stuff on there and recipes, and just a total fun book, which continues to surprise me that young women are really discovering this book, because it's a food and nutrition with recipes. The dish on eating healthy and being fabulous, of course, still available on Amazon.com in paperback now, which is pretty exciting.
It is exciting. And we thank you for joining us. And next week on the show, we're going to have author Dina Babel. She's got a new book coming out in a couple of weeks. It's called Love Strong. And this is her motto. She says, this is a book that belongs on every woman's nightstand next to her glass of Pinot Grigio. Shall we drink to that, ladies?
I think we shall, ladies. Cheers.
Sounds good.
See you next week. Thank you so much, Carolyn.
Thank you. Good to see both of you.
Good to see you as well.